Would you consider this cheating, or is my girlfriend overreacting? Background: I had the orange monopoly, and she had the red monopoly. We both had 2 houses on each of our properties. I had enough money to land on one of her red spaces unless she went up to 3 houses. I was about to leave jail and had a good chance of landing on a red in 2 turns. She was on the green properties. To discourage her from building, I hid a stack of 100s underneath my tents. She thought that I couldn't afford to build anymore and that landing on her 2 house red properties would bankrupt me. After I safely passed her red monopolies, I took out my stack of 100s and built another house on each orange. She landed on New York and resigned because she would have to sell her houses to pay me. Now she is angry and claims I cheated. If your boyfriend did this to you, would you think he cheated? We are leaving this thread up as we feel this is not about relationships, as it is more about ethics in boardgaming. Not cheating, because I don't think the rules of Monopoly say you have to have your money publicly visible. Sneaky, but not a cheat. I have a saying, hesitation is death. She should have been ruthless and curb stomped you into submission by adding a house no matter how much money you had. She hesitated and now she is dead. Agreed. Don't get butthurt about losing if you didn't do your best to crush the competition. Plus it's not like you have to make your real bank account public for everyone to see. Hopefully your goal in life isn't to bankrupt everyone else. Though, agreed. I think people should understand that games are games. Play to win and understand that it is not personal. I wouldn't play that way with a very young kid necessarily, but with other adults, absolutely. That's why I don't play Monopoly. It ends relationship. This is exactly how I played with my kids when they were young. When they'd call out that it was unfair, I'd ask what they learned. You cannot get one over on either of them as adults. They smell BS a mile away and will call you on it. I like to say I was training them for the real world. I like to say it anyway. That's actually a quote from League of Legends by the character Artrix. It's poor sportsmanship and sets a bad precedent. If you only do the things that the rules strictly tell you do to, then Monopoly rules only strictly say that deeds need to be face up and in front of you, not visible or public information. Which means that there's nothing in the rules that says you can't hide your deeds beneath a coaster or stack them on top of each other. I'd agree that hiding money isn't cheating, but it is a violation of implicit rules, which can sometimes be even worse. Now, if you'd both agreed ahead of time that money was hidden information and not public, that might be different. Absolutely not. The court system recognizes the spirit of the law and rules accordingly. Precedent is set in Nix v. Hedden, where the Supreme Court ruled tomatoes could be taxed under New York vegetable tax. Despite tomatoes technically being fruits, the spirit of the law did not intend it to be so. Likewise, the spirit of the rule, that properties must be face up and in front of the player, has an implied right to view your neighbor's ownerships. This functions in the opposite fashion of the implied right to privacy, as ruled in Griswold v. Connecticut, though the law doesn't state you have the right to know explicitly, it's so strongly implied that the spirit of the law can be read and ruled accordingly. This stands in stark contrast to the fact that Monopoly states no rules governing the display of money and thus provides no premise for any implied rules. Ergo, we can conclude that neither the spirit nor the letter of the rules were violated by Opus. The defense rests in the case of /u/Poliber 2117 v. Girlfriend. There aren't any rules saying how you have to keep your money arranged. So no. Just seems like good strategy. That's the kind of shit my siblings and I did all the time. That's why when I play I ask for all my money in singles and fives. Once when in Las Vegas, I was playing 5 blackjack. I started with about 200 and got on a nice roll and was up to about 650. I had about 105 chips and the rest in 25 chips. They were in a big haphazard heap in front of me like a nice poker pot. When I needed to bet, I would just slide another one out from the pile. If I won, the dealer would make a nice even stack to match my win. And I would just spill them into my pile. The pit boss came up to me and politely asked if I could please stack my chips in an orderly fashion. I asked him why. Was there a rule about it? He winced and said, well, there is no actual casino rule unless it is interfering with the gameplay, but honestly it's just really bothering me. I said, fair enough. And put them into like 15 stacks of random amounts. He gave me the thumbs up and a smile. PSH, I always hide my money when I play Monopoly, so I don't consider that cheating. No. You purposefully deceived your GF, but you didn't cheat at Monopoly. Yeah, it sounds like she just doesn't like the game of Monopoly. Does anyone actually like this game? I've played dozens of times and never had a game actually end with someone winning outright. It's a game of attrition. Who can go the longest without flipping the board over in frustration? It's Monopoly. It's a game designed to show how monopolies form and how they don't work in the grand scheme of things. Keeping that in mind, I would say that it's keeping in the spirit of the game to mislead, as long as you weren't stealing. But what do I know? I got in a huge fight once for cheating at Clue. I figured out the weapon pipe, and instead of guessing / suspecting / whatever the pipe, I kept saying a weapon in my hand while I worked on the other clues. Somebody formally made a formal accusation with the weapon I kept saying and lost. Then when we found out I had that weapon, pandemonium. So my opinion might not mean much as a fellow exploiter. Huh. I literally thought that was how you were supposed to play Cluedo? This thread is making me feel vindicated for past accusations. You're allowed to do that in Clue. The only cheating is not disproving people's accusations. If you can. It's how I was taught by my mom. My strategy would have gotten caught, but they went formal after I disproved the last person they were unsure of. I will say this, I haven't played Clue in more than a decade, so I don't know if the distinction between suspecting and formally accusing was a house rule or official. I was able to disprove something for every suspicion, but the formal accusation led to the envelope being opened and my secret was out. I hadn't played Clue since I figured out the weapon pipe, and instead of guessing / suspecting / whatever the pipe, I kept saying a weapon in my hand while I worked on the other clues. Somebody formally made a formal accusation with the weapon I kept saying and lost. Then when we found out I had that weapon, pandemonium. To be fair, I haven't played Clue for over a decade, but is that actually considered cheating? To me that just seems like a sound and solid strategy. When I last played Clue with my family, also the last time I played with them, I would guess everything I had in my hand except for one piece. I won rather quickly. My older brother, who claimed he had never lost, got hella pissed, flipped the board, called me a cunt, and said he would never play a board game with me again if all I do is cheat. Honestly, that felt better than any win I've ever gotten. Literally how you are supposed to play it. You also should try your best to hide certain cards as much as possible. For example, if someone calls Mr. Green in the kitchen with the pistol and you know you've already shown them your kitchen card, show them the kitchen card again and not your pistol card. I'm thinking that maybe your brother has a problem. Perhaps simpler kinda games are in order. Multiplayer solitaire type things with minimal setbacks. Fresco? Dominion? That's absolutely how you should play it. People only look for the really low hanging fruit of clues. If they see a card, okay, that's a clue. In fact, the game is like a working logic problem, and there's lots of information and probabilities to be gleaned based on everyone else's guesses and how you correlate that with what you know. For sure. And if you're smart, you give away as little additional information as possible while working out what you don't know. I make constant notes, and even if I'm not making notes, I make motions as if I'm making notes, so people don't know what I'm picking up on. But that's how you're supposed to play, isn't it? Listen, Clue is huge in my family, so I feel qualified to say this is 100% okay. This is the strategy everyone employs. Except we rotate between the item we know is the right one and items we have in our hands, so no one is like, Evelanda Heathen is guessing the candlestick a lot. I bet she has the candlestick. Check. Everyone at our table guesses 2 cards they have with 1 they don't. Also, don't ever play with my mom. She'll whoop the shit out of you at this game. That sounds amazing. I have too many people in my life that play by nice guy rules. Sometimes it gets bad enough that when playing Scrabble, they will collaborate or get multiple guesses in Trivial Pursuit with coaching from the reader. Their reasoning is that it's a game and should be fun. I can understand that. I just can't abide by it. In real life I'm very much a collaborate, and we will all be better for it kind person. In games, I can get a little cutthroat. That's just good strategy right there. I would be so stoked and impressed to realize that someone had pulled that move on me. Do these same people get mad when someone bluffs in poker? That's not cheating, that's strategy. This was commonplace when I used to play a lot of Monopoly. The rules don't state that people get to know how much money you have. It's only cheating if you didn't account for hidden money when landing on the tax space. There's ways around that even, such as loans and tax shelters with other players. Yeah, I don't get invited to many Monopoly games anymore. Close bracket. Yeah, bring your tax attorney to one casual game and all of a sudden I'm the asshole? It's not cheating, it's exploiting your opponent's overconfidence. Now they've learned their lesson. If you have the opportunity to destroy someone, take it. Don't wait for them to take you down. Her reaction is why I don't play games with children. I always play board games with children so that I can crush them in their foolish, fun-loving ways. Honestly, I do crush my niece and nephew in any sort of game as often as possible. But then I explain what I did so they can victimize their friends. I also make them swear they won't tell anyone else, so it's our thing. It's actually made them really good at spotting little details like not hiding big bills under small. They learn disturbingly fast and frankly, it's a good life lesson. Not cheating as far as I know, but I'd call it gamesmanship and unsportsmanlike conduct. You stepped outside of the parameters of the game accepted by the players. It's a bit like this incident. You found a loophole and exploited it. Personally, I'd appreciate the sneakiness, but ultimately find it against the spirit of the game. And consider your victory tainted. Ain't no rule says dogs can't play basketball. Most underrated 90s kids movie. Yeah, bud. I always keep my money in a single stack so no one can guess how much I really have. It's sneaky as well as being aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, I keep all my money in a stack in my left hand all game. I don't see how this is cheating at all. Not cheating, just conniving, but that's not against the rules. I don't think I've ever seen the word conniving spelt out. Your girlfriend is weak by not crushing you when she had the chance. And your offspring will be weak. Your combined bloodlines would not survive a harsh winter. Dump her. My boyfriend totally does shit like this to me in games. I get mad. He knows he's a jerk for it. I'd do what he does and just try and make up for it. Apologize and maybe a back rub or something. Not cheating. One of my friends who plays Monopoly with me keeps all their money in one disorganized pile. It irks me to no end because I need order and that stack is pure chaos. But it never says anywhere in the rules that you have to keep your money separated by amount, as long as you had it all on the table and didn't pull out a stack from your pocket or something. Totally not cheating. No way is it cheating. I always stack my money with the tens on top so no one knows how much I have left. In a real corporate real estate takeover, your opponent doesn't know how much money you have. No, but I don't play Monopoly to win. I play to cause chaos. I'm that player that, in the middle of the game, for no reason other than boredom, offers to give away all her train property to the first person to bring her a beer. I like to think of myself as a personification of the free market. It's not cheating by definition, but I would suggest counseling and trust building exercises if you want to salvage your relationship. I mean, that's more or less how rich Americans store their money, but really, that's just strategy. From what I recall, there is nothing in the rules claiming that each player must keep their money in clear sight of the others. Does she understand that you had the money the whole time? That if she'd been paying closer attention, she'd have noticed you hide it? Always hold your cash in one stack so that no one knows how much money you have. This is not against the rules, which are included in the box. Showing your money is a bad move, particularly when negotiating. Use this against your opponents if they want to trade properties. Demand cash with the exchange that you will know will prevent them from building. What I'm most surprised by is your girlfriend's mercy. She chose not to build when she thought it would bankrupt you. But isn't that the point of the game? Man, who cares if what you did was deceptive or not? She clearly doesn't have what it takes to win at Monopoly. Money in Monopoly is public information. Each transaction is visible for all players. to avoid each player having to keep an eye on other players and keep their cash book. There are no secret stashes. However, she assumed you had no money. If she had asked, you should have provided her with the current balance, otherwise it forces her to keep a check book on your account, which delays the game for everybody. She didn't however ask, and you didn't lie/bluff, therefore it is all fair game.